Tim Farron.
Deputy Speaker, we are very clear we cannot and will not support this bill. If it did what it said on the tin, then there may be much to commend it, but it doesn't. This government pledges a living wage, which even they know is not one. It wants a welfare state that is anything but good for our country's welfare, and it uses the guise of economic necessity to cover up ideologically driven cuts. Tonight we will vote against this bill because we know the depth and character of these proposals are unfair, unwise and inhuman. They are anything but economically necessary. The truth is this government does not have to take £12 billion from the poorest, mostly working families in this country. They are choosing to do so. And no amount of political spin will protect the individuals who have to live with the reality, not with the words. Calling something a living wage when it is not, calling housing affordable when it is not affordable, and labelling this welfare bill progressive does not make it progressive. The consequence of these actions for Britain will speak louder in the end than the Chancellor's attempts to change the definition of his words. Take the proposals, Madam Deputy Speaker, on the employment support allowance. This support is designed to help people who, through no fault of their own, face more barriers to work than most people. With depression, fluctuating conditions, schizophrenia, physical conditions which make the ordinary tasks many of us take for granted more difficult, these proposals will today not help them get into work at all. In fact, they act as a ridiculous disincentive. Almost 500,000 people will see their vital support cut by 1/3 once they apply to the new system. That means that if you're already on existing support, you will lose it as soon as you get a job, even a short-term contract. This, therefore, is a disincentive to work. It will trap people on welfare. It will not liberate them. The Chancellor has chosen to implement a counterproductive policy which demonises people with disabilities and mental health conditions. Now, I am disappointed by Labour's confusion on this bill. To give in to the narrative that the answer to our country's needs is to pit the working poor against the temporarily not working poor is shameful. Cutting tax credits, tightening the benefit cap and ramping up right to buy are not just morally wrong, they are economically wrong. Widening inequality is not just against British decency, it is also economically stupid too. So we will stand for the thousands of people... Yes, happily.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and of course we accepted some of the changes to welfare in the last Parliament, but this goes too far. Does he share my concern about the effect on young people who, through no fault of their own, may find themselves in need of housing benefits, and why should they be excluded from the same rights as any other citizen in this country if they have the need to the safety net?
My honourable friend makes an excellent point. I think young people are in many ways the biggest victims of this bill. I think of young people who are on housing benefit and in receiving housing benefit, for example, in the location of a foyer. I can think of the wonderful foyer we have in Kendal, and in being in that place and being supported through housing benefit in that place, are able to have access to work and training and further development. So taking away housing benefit from young people is not just morally wrong, it is utterly counterproductive. It will prevent those young people accessing work and other life opportunities. So we will stand up for the thousands of people who are in work and yet in poverty, and the millions of people who may not be personally affected, but who simply do not want to see inequality grow in Britain. Instead, we want a direction for the country which combines economic credibility with truly socially progressive policies. That's why we will continue to make the case for using capital investment to build houses, for strengthening our economy for the long term, and for a welfare system which understands the needs of people with mental health conditions and helps them back into work, rather than putting them under the kind of pressure that simply makes them worse. The reduction in incomes of poor families in work comes at the same time as giving inheritance tax cuts to millionaires, cutting corporation tax for the richest firms and refusing to raise a single extra penny in tax from the wealthiest people, for example, through a high-value property levy. So we will continue to speak for the millions of people who are young, who suffer from mental health problems, whose parents don't have spare rooms or spare income, or who don't have parents at all, or who have more than 2 children. The Liberal Democrats will stand up for families, whether they are hard-working or just desperate to be hard-working. We will not let the Conservatives, through choice, or the Labour Party, through their silence, unpick our welfare system.